There's a very interesting piece of research done about the share price of Advertiser of the Year at Cannes over time, going back over time. The Advertiser of the Year at Cannes is given to a marketer who is working with their agencies to do great work, winning lots of lions, being brave in their creativity and really putting creativity at the heart of what they do. So there's a piece of research done about the stock price of those companies in the lead up to winning Advertiser of the Year at Cannes, and their impact against the historics, against the S&P 500, against their competitors. And in just about every case, by which I mean Honda, Swatch, Nike, Unilever, McDonalds, Coca Cola, Procter Gamble, in nearly every case their stock price was at its highest when they were doing their most creative work. And it's this incredible correlation between business outcome, the success of an entire organization, not just their branding, not just their sales, but the entire organization when they're being creative. There's a really interesting piece of work about creatively awarded work and how effective that is. And pre-2004, creatively awarded work was significantly more effective than non-creatively awarded work. And there's a big piece of research done on that. But what's really interesting is if you split it out pre-2004 and post-2004, the impact is significantly bigger than it was before, particularly when it comes to the fame or the talkability of a particular campaign. Massively, massively more important. And I think that's driven by really two things. It's if you think about 2004, that was around about the time that mobile was really coming into its own. It was around about the time that social was coming into its own. And those kind of tools and the complexity of those communications, I think, means that if you're creative in those spheres, if you're creative in mobile, creative in digital, creative in your use of social, you can get a massive fame effect. You can get much more talkability than previously, and it's a very effective way to do things. They really broke into three areas. The first was data and technology, and I use those two words carefully because when people talk about data, often they're talking about technology as well, and the mixture of the two and how those two things can unleash great ideas and how they underpin so many of the winners at Cannes, a real understanding of technology and what it can do in your communications. And if you look at the winners of Cannes, you can see how that sophistication, the use of data, the use of technology is really driving a lot of those ideas. The second really important theme was how emotion needs to be embedded in your communications. Clearly, human beings like to have emotion in their communications. The effectiveness of pieces that appeal to the rational versus the appeal to the emotional is very, very clear in all the studies that are done. And certainly, in order to win Cannes Lions and other creative awards, it's much more preferable to create an emotional piece of work, and that can be making you laugh or cry or whatever it is. And then finally, the big theme was collaboration. And again, if you look at the winners of Cannes, there's quite a big shift in the number of people who are involved in this work now. We look at our credits for the entries into Cannes, and you can see really complicated relationships. The Innovation Lions winner, for instance, which won the Grand Prix, was a piece of work for a Russian organization. It was led by an architect in London. There were designers and integrated specialists working in Switzerland. There were traditional agencies like Leo Burnett. There were specialist agencies. There were probably about 14 organizations across 3 countries organizing and creating that piece of work. And that's just one example of the way things are going. In the past, obviously, most of the entries came from advertising agencies, and that is still predominantly true. Most of the entries are coming from advertising agencies. But now, of course, we have entries from PR agencies, from media agencies, from design agencies, and lots of other players. But what's interesting is that we have other organizations, and they could be a lot of media organizations. Channel 4, BBC, MTV, CNN, Time Warner, those kind of people, Sony Pictures, they're actually entering the Lions for the first time. But also clients as well, Procter Gamble, Unilever, Accenture, Greenpeace, clients producing work in-house, which I think is a supplement to their work with the agencies. Google, another example, Facebook. I think it's a supplement to the agency. I don't think it will ever replace their relationships with agencies, but they're doing some of the work in-house, they're entering the lines, and actually they're winning, they're starting to win. In fact, their win rate was 100, they got 100% more lines than they did last year, double the lines.